Welcome back. Tonight we're just going to do a quick video. It's March the 9th tonight. We're going to do a quick video on preparing some of our tackle for the upcoming open water season. We still have anywhere from 24 to 28 inches of ice on the inland lakes here, but we're anticipating an early thaw, so we're getting ready. I'm just going to go over some of our tackle that we have. So what we're going to look at is we're going to have 3 containers here. First one is spoons. We also put some of the attachments for the downriggers that we'll go over later. We have I think one other container full of big Rapalas and more spoons.
Yeah, so what usually happens around parts of northern Ontario is the ice will usually last till early April, mid-April. Sometimes it might go as far as early May. It just depends on the year and the temperatures we've had. Normally, during the springtime, what the best species to fish for, you'll have the steelhead. They're going to start to migrate their way up your river systems to spawn. People normally target steelhead. The other major one is your pike are going to come in to spawn in shallower bays or rocky shoals. And as well, if you could target them in some areas, lake trout, salmon in Lake Superior will be quite accessible in shallower waters than they would be at other times of the year. So we mostly target pike early on. As soon as the smelt starts running, what we'll end up doing is we'll be trolling. So we like to use large spoons, the Williams whitefish spoons. These here are the large size. Those work good too. Any of your large Husky Jerks or Shad Raps here.
Yeah, these ones seem to work good. They're UV too, so they glow. So we have the, I guess these are the Rapala ones, and we also have some the different ones, the Storm ones in here. So, I mean, they basically all do the same thing. We don't find much of a difference with those ones. So, what we have found out with some of these hooks are they're very sharp, and they stick into your thumb quite easily. So maybe we'll attach a picture of that. So be careful. And I think most of these ones we've replaced the hooks, and we've put on higher quality hooks because we're finding that the Rapala ones, they're just a cheaper quality hook. And if you get one fish in there and try to use a pair of pliers to get it out of their mouths, you end up usually breaking the hook. So
yeah, so we upgrade the hooks to either a Mustad hook or a Gamakatsu hook. What we've been finding is that especially the Gamakatsus, they're a lot sharper. They don't break as easy as those VMC hooks. I've found that a lot of the newer VMC hooks you get on their lure, they're dull, and the hooks snap or they bend super easy. But yeah, large crankbaits or spoons work quite well for pike in the spring. You could also throw out a jig and minnow. You could cast that, or you could have it sit out there on a float. I find that for pike, depends, any color will work, green, orange, or whites. It all depends on water clarity and what they're feeding on. Typically, I like to run more natural colors and clearer waters, like your silvers and blacks and white. Perch pattern is really good too in clear water. Not to say that they won't go after something like a UV Husky Jerk or Storm. Yeah, I mean, even in the spring run of pike, we've even used these. These are about 11-inch Storm Thunderstick lures. That's an 11-inch. This is, I believe, an 8-inch. Yeah, an 8-inch lure.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at these things, I mean, they seem kind of ridiculous the size of them compared to your hand. But we've had pike that have been hungry. They basically just demolish that lure entirely. And I mean, if you look close, you can see teeth marks on them. And they're popular kind of ones. So, I mean, generally what we do is we, if we're fishing for pike in the bays in Lake Superior in the springtime, we're allowed 2 lines per person here where we are. So we'll just throw these guys out on the outside. We'll either put them just dragging loose behind the boat, or we'll put them on a planer board just to kind of get them away from the boat. And these stay right on the surface. And as silly as these things are, and people have asked us about these because they've seen what we've been using, these are awesome. So we got these a number of years back, and I mean, at the time I think I paid about $5 a piece for them. So now I'm sure they're probably 25 or 30 bucks.
Yeah, and I know some people, they like to run steel leaders when they're pike fishing. I find that using just a straight monofilament leader, we haven't had any issues with bite-offs. In fact, I mean, most of the times using these longer lures, like your Husky jerks, they won't actually inhale the whole bait. They'll usually just get a hook or 2 in them. They won't normally nick the line.
Yeah, so I think we'll attach a couple of the big fish that we caught using this the Rapala one, and with these ones.
Yeah, and I like to connect these two. Obviously, when you're out pike fishing, or it doesn't matter what type of fishing you're doing, sometimes the specific lure you're using isn't going to work for that day. So you're going to want to be able to change them out quickly and see what works. These are a little small, but these are size 1 VMC crankbait snaps. Now I've went and added these Mustad high-speed chain swivels to them. I got a couple different sizes here. I've got a size 7. These are, I believe, a size 1/0. I've got larger chain swivels than these.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at those things, I mean, they're pretty big. I mean, they're basically an inch and a half long, those swivels. But it makes a huge difference just if we were running a leader, just to prevent line twist with these big Rapalas or the spoons and that,
Yeah,
too. So,
but don't be afraid to use a snap. These are just cheaper Eagle Claw barrel snaps. These are the black coated ones. We ran these for 2 years, and I don't think we had any issues with those. I just found that I prefer the VMC snap over that. I find that they're a little smaller, and they might even be stronger. These are rated at 60-pound test. The snaps, I'm not sure what the size 7 trolling swivels are rated at, but so we try to buy the tackle that we're going to need for the following year. So in the fall time, we'll buy stuff that is for the summertime, and in the summertime we'll buy stuff that we can stockpile and use in the wintertime. So there's a lot better selection usually at the stores in town, and you get a lot better deal. So it's always a good thing to kind of plan ahead and see what you can find. So yeah, and later on, or actually I guess not too far from the spring fishing, is you'll end up switching and you'll be fishing for walleye. And I really like using these walleye spinners. I know, not sure my dad likes the Rapalas, trolling those better or not. I normally outfish them 40-1 using these walleye spinners. It depends too with this what body of water you're fishing on. Most of your river systems are going to be stained or dirty, so you can get away with tying a 3 or 4 foot spinner rig, and that's going to be trolled behind a bottom bouncer, which depends too on your depth and your current.
another thing, I mean, we've kind of spent the last couple of years kind of buying some tackle, and it adds up after a while. But what we do is when we go somewhere and we see something on sale, we'll end up buying it. So I mean, these spinner blades here, I mean, I guess they're meant for kind of bass or smallmouth bass fishing and that, but you can use these for pike. Pike do like them, and I mean, I think we paid at Dick's Sporting Goods in Minneapolis, we got 5 for $5. So I think we bought probably about 20 of them the one time. So I mean, you do lose them from time to time, but we stockpile it up, and what we do is we have the stuff in these tackle boxes and a couple other ones that are in our boat that we'll go over to on a later video. Or we any extra stuff we have just a couple Rubbermaid containers, couple tackle boxes, and I think we have another bag full of tackle underneath the workbench and that. So we keep all the extra stuff in there, and we just replenish the small tackle boxes as we go out. Another one that are good for spring pike fishing, northern pike fishing, are these Len Thompson. We've had these quite a few years, and I mean, they kind of rode around in our tackle box, and they're I think almost 5-inch blades on them, so they're fairly big, and they have fairly big hooks on them. And we never used them for a long time, but we started using those for pike in the springtime as well as lake trout even in the fall time, and the fish seem to love them.
Yeah, all right, and then as summer progresses here into June to August, we fish for lake trout and salmon. We'll troll or downrig for them. Early on in the year, for salmon specifically, we'll use smaller spoons, normally 3 to 3.5 inch spoons. They like to eat smaller baits early on in the year, and as the year progresses, they're going to eat larger forage. They might even eat a whole whitefish. It just depends. So later on in the year, closer to the fall run, we're going to use the larger magnum size spoons, which I believe are 4.5 inches. Lake trout, though, doesn't matter. At any point in the year, they'll eat a large magnum spoon. The size won't matter as much for them as it would for your Chinook salmon or coho salmon, for that matter. Another thing that works good for them, aside from spoons, is your flasher fly setup. So we got about a dozen flashers in this box here. There's a inline spinning flasher. So this one here, it's not going to revolve or rotate in a 360-degree circle. This one's going to spin on your line. Yeah,
so that one there won't put any action on the spoon itself, or the flasher fly if you have it behind.
Yeah, so these normally they're not going to induce any type of action to your lure behind them. So what you'll have to end up doing is using a spoon, or if you're using a piece of herring or smelt, you'll have to curl it somehow to make it spin. Normally with these two, or any type of flasher, you want to use a high quality ball bearing. So these here, they're just a quick snap. I believe they're Mustad Krang swivels. These are 150-pound test. You want to use ball bearing swivels. We found that if you just use regular swivels, they're not going to do as good a job keeping down line twist. Especially if you have newer line, it'll twist that up quite quickly, and that'll just make your day rather frustrating. These here, they're going to put a lot more twist into your line than a inline spinner flasher would. These are the larger paddle styles. I believe these are about 11 inches long. These are Gibbs Delta spinner or flashers, sorry. Lure Jensen also makes these. A couple other companies use them or make them. We just buy the Gibbs Delta tackle ones. Find they're a lot better quality.
Yeah, and all these ones here, I mean, we have a bucket that we have them all loose in, but these ones here, we kind of put them in the boat beginning of the year, and they might stay there all season. So what do is we just put them in a baggie to keep them clean, keep them dry, and make sure they don't get all scratched up and ruin the ruin the decals on it. So, I mean, we have a variety of different colors in here. So, I mean, if we do go, we have black and white, purple, green, orange, and we try to match those up to the colors of the spoons or the flasher flies that we have here. So
Yeah, and normally with these here too, what I'll end up doing is I'll end up adding a Mustad trolling swivel to these as well. These are the larger size. I'm not sure what size these are. They normally come with 2 ball bearing snaps from the factory, but I like to add as many swivels in here as I can, because like I said, these really create a lot of twist in your line, especially if you're trolling with them at 2.5 miles an hour all day. You'll really notice it in a few trips. So I'll attach the high-speed trolling swivel to one of their ball bearing snaps already included, and I'll take another ball bearing crane swivel snap and I'll hook it back into that trolling swivel. So this crane swivel, it's going to go directly to your line, and it's going to sit like that. And the second ball bearings crane swivel snap here, it's going to attach to your pre-tied flasher fly. Normally with a size this large, this is an 11-inch paddle flasher. Chinook salmon like the longer leaders, and that's going to make your bait move a lot less erratically. It's going to make it move slower in the water, so 3 foot minimum for those. Coho will like a faster moving bait, so you're going to want to make it a tighter leader. That'll give it more of an action. If you want to use spoons, a 5 foot leader minimum behind the flasher of this size is good. That won't create too much action for the spoon.
And I mean, later on, once we get out, start doing some salmon fishing, we'll kind of go over how to attach these to the downrigger and how far to clip them behind the cannonballs and that. So I know young guy here has a different opinion than I do, but I catch a bigger fish, so I think I'm right. I'm just kidding. Also, we have the Dipsies. We'll show how to use those. Those are a great addition. Also, what we've been going to do in the last year or so, just to kind of give a variety of stuff, we've gone to the smaller Dodgers. So we've gone to the multicolored Dodgers, depending on the time of year and where we're fishing. Those seem to work, and we have just a variety of just plain silver, gold silver, and the reflective ones here. So I mean, we have a variety of stuff.
Yeah, so what I've actually found is for the coho or pink salmon is that they like these smaller flashers. I mean, you can get away with using a larger paddle flasher too. This here I believe is a 5-inch Dodger, and I got about a 9-inch leader, this 30-pound test, to a smaller pink fly. The reason for the little heavier leader is that it's not going to bend as much, it's not going to twist, but it's also going to give that fly a little snappier action. And I found that that setup there has worked quite well for cohos and pinks. I even caught a couple lake trout using this. And again, with this here, being that it's a smaller Dodger, I'm going to use those Mustad high-speed trolling swivels. This is the size 7, it's a little smaller. I believe this is a Lure Jensen or a yeah, it must be a Lure Jensen. Yeah. The snaps and bearings, they give either just regular ball bearing or they're just regular bearings. They don't roll very well, and I notice you'll get a lot of line twists, so I just add that again.
Yeah. So I mean, as the season progresses here and the ice starts melting and we get out on the ice, we'll go over the individual types of fishing. The biggest thing that we found is no matter what you're fishing for, and it's easy to kind of get stuck in that routine and use the same lure, switch things up. Because we found out that sometimes early on in the year for lake trout, the shiny guys were very good. But later on in the season, I mean, the fish started going towards the bigger, kind of almost more plain colored ones. So, I mean, switch up and switch up often, and don't get stuck out.
Eventually, we'll show you lake trout and salmon fishing, but for now, we still have about 2.5 feet of ice, so I guess we'll just have to wait for that. Alright, we'll see you on the next video.